It's the question we've all been asking ourselves since the dawn of time. What happens when we die? I don't know the answer, but the question we should be asking ourselves is, what happens when we die in a Metroidvania? We're going to get to the bottom of it today, by looking at some of our favorite Metroidvanias and breaking down their design. We're also going to spend some time with my game, GigaSword, and talk about how I went about designing its death system. We've got a lot to talk about, so let's get started. I'm Jack Green, and this is HyperPlays. So how is death handled in the Metroidvania? Well, the reason I ask is because I found myself wondering this in regards to my own game, GigaSword. I just released the first free demo for the game a couple of weeks ago. The feedback has been amazing, by the way, so shout out to everyone who's played it. Now, as I was working on completing the demo, one of my tasks was to get the save system working. The programming was easy enough, but building the save system opened up a lot of unanswered questions. You see, dying and saving are linked by nature. When you die, the game needs to know where to place you and how much progress was lost, if any. These questions seem obvious, every game has their answers to them, but I realized I didn't know exactly how to handle this issue in GigaSword, and that's because GigaSword isn't like other Metroidvanias. Now, I'm not saying this to try to be cool and be like, oh, like GigaSword's different from the rest, man! It's just the truth. The more that I looked at GigaSword, the more that I realized that I couldn't really compare it to just another Metroid or Axiom Verge. It was a lot more like some of my other favorite games, like Dark Souls, Shovel Knight, and The Legend of Zelda. How, you ask? Well, I'm going to show you, but to do that we have to first understand how each of those games treats death. First, let's look at classic Metroidvanias and how they handle death. As our example, we'll be looking at a tried and true Metroidvania, Cory in the House.
No! Cut! Castlevania!
Castle what?
You're gonna talk about Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Okay, fine. Jeez. We're gonna be looking at Castle Vegas Symphony on the Night.
Jesus fucking Christ.
This game practically makes up 50% of the term Metroidvania. This was pretty much the one that started it all. Before Symphony of the Night, Castlevania games were mainly side-scrollers split up into different levels. This game featured an interconnected set of areas that opened up over time as you unlocked new abilities, similar to the Metroid series. So what happens to us when we fall victim to one of the many monsters haunting the castle? Well, it's quite simple really, you start back at the last save point. Okay, wait, hang on, it seems simple, but let's deep dive into it. Symphony of the Night, like many games of its time, handles death in what I'd call the default way. You're warped back in time to the last place you saved, and all progress since that point is lost. This method is tried and true and is seen in way more genres than just Metroidvania. So why not just handle things this way in GigaSword? Well, there are two major differences between my game and Castlevania. One, GigaSword, unlike most Metroidvanias, has puzzles. I'll come back to this point later. And two, GigaSword has an upgrade system similar to none other than Dark Souls.
Breaking news, Jack Green has just compared his game to Dark Souls.
I'm right outside of Jack Green's house where he just compared his game to the Dark Souls.
It's like now he's comparing his game to Dark Souls, and it's like, what the fuck?
Sir, we have covered those issues extensively.
No, wait a second. Let me
had a lot of time.
We're gonna do everything we can to bring him to justice.
I am your judge, Jerry!
In case you're one of the last people on Earth who hasn't played Dark Souls, it basically goes like this. You kill enemies, get souls from them, which is basically just what we're calling experience points now, and use those souls to level up your character, giving yourself more health, stronger attacks, and so on. When you die in Dark Souls, you drop all of your souls on the ground. If you die again before getting them back, they're gone for good. Now, another game that actually does something similar to this is Shovel Knight. You collect gems to spend on upgrades like new armor and abilities, and when you die, you drop 3 sacks containing a portion of your funds. You'll have to retrieve them on your next life, or they'll be gone for good. So let's get back to GigaSword. I've added an upgrade system similar to Shovel Knight's. You collect ore from killing enemies and opening secret treasure chests, and you can spend that ore on various upgrades when you're at a save station. None of these upgrades would be necessary to complete the game. They're optional abilities designed to give you an edge in combat. Now, given the addition of this Souls-like feature, it no longer seems fair to wipe your progress when you die. I mean, FromSoft is mean, and if they don't even do that, I'm certainly not gonna. I knew I needed to keep things fair and give the player a chance to get their ore back if they died. So now, when you're killed, you drop this corrupted treasure chest that you'll need to hit to recover your ore. And like our source material, if you fail to reach the chest and die again, the ore in the chest is gone for good. But there's one problem. This system would be extremely easy to cheat if you could just turn off the game and reload your last save, which is why Dark Souls operates under a strict and efficient autosave system. The game autosaves immediately when you die. It saves so fast that if you rage quit and then open the game back up, it literally puts you back in the exact same spot doing the dying animation. Without this ultra-fast autosave system, pretty much all of the tension in Dark Souls would be gone. I knew I needed something similar in GigaSword, but I didn't quite know where to start. So the game has to save when you die, but what exactly saves? The doors you've opened? The enemies you've killed? If you purchase an upgrade and then die, do you still have it when you respawn? The more I thought about these questions, the more my head started to spin. I just wasn't sure what was right, and there really weren't any videos talking about this. On the one hand, GigaSword is a Metroidvania, and Metroidvanias have save points that you have to manually save at. There's usually little to no autosaving in a Metroidvania. But on the other hand, we've got this Souls-style currency system, and I didn't want people to farm a bunch of ore only to die on their way back to the save point and have to redo it all over again. After substantial brainstorming and hypothesizing, I realized what was wrong. I was comparing GigaSword to the wrong games. GigaSword may have the 2D platforming and exploration of a game like Castlevania, and the Souls-like upgrade system of a game like Shovel Knight, but its main focus is its sword-related puzzles, which are akin to Zelda. Traditional Zelda games, whether 2D or 3D, consist of a large, interconnected world filled with dungeons that act as self-contained challenges. They've got exploration, branching paths, puzzles, backtracking, combat, and by the time you walk out, you've got a new ability to help you get to the next area. And I realized that GigaSword has all this stuff too. It's built on an interconnected world, split into different areas, each which focus on a certain mechanic or ability. These areas are kind of like Zelda dungeons. The path forward won't always be obvious, and some paths will be available to you at the same time as others. GigaSword has plenty of combat, but another big part of the game is the puzzle-solving aspect. You can't attack when you don't have your sword, so you'll have to rely on your higher jump, further dodge, ledge grabbing, and of course your brains. And whereas GigaSword has its ore, Zelda has its rupees. I was starting to realize that Zelda was a much more accurate model for my game than something like Super Metroid, which has plenty of enemies to kill and paths to take, but not really any Zelda-style puzzles. So this left one final question. How does death work in a Zelda game? And I really didn't remember. So I decided to boot up Link's Awakening, one of the best and most faithful Zelda entries, and see for myself. In Link's Awakening, when you die, you don't really lose any progress. If you're in a dungeon, you're warped back to the starting room, but that's about it. Sure, all the enemies respawn, but you still have all your keys, you still have the dungeon's key item if you've gotten it, and you don't even lose any rupees. It's literally just teleporting you back to the start. So I guess your only punishment is having to trek back to wherever you were. This works fine in Link's Awakening. I mean, it's not meant to be a very challenging game, but GigaSword, I wanted it to be a bit more hardcore. So why does Zelda work this way? What are the benefits of autosaving every time you make progress within the dungeon? The biggest takeaway from this logic is this. The fun of a puzzle is figuring it out, not the actual gameplay around it. Let me explain. Suppose you take this puzzle from the Fateful Stars Shrine in Breath of the Wild. There are 4 constellations on the wall in front of you, and in front of each constellation is a set of holes. You're supposed to put the balls in these holes. You're supposed to put balls in these holes, but there's no way to tell which holes to use. Each hole seems to represent a number 1 through 5. What could that mean? The pedestal at the altar says, "Look to the stars for guidance, the constellations are the key." Now way across the room is another set of constellations, and if you're paying attention, you'll notice that this wall is made up of the same 4 constellations that are presented in front of you. So the solution is to put the ball in the hole that corresponds with the number of times that the constellation appears on the far wall. Now, there's nothing super engaging about putting balls in holes. Are you good?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Are you gonna? Okay. Listen, you need to be mature. Okay. Yes, you do. You need to figure it out. Okay. All right. Okay. There's nothing super engaging about putting balls in holes. If the game just said put these balls in this hole, and this hole, that wouldn't be very fun. So as you can see, the fun isn't in the doing, it's in the solving. You can also look at these chess pieces in Link's Awakening. Throwing them around is kind of fun, but the real fun is the feeling that you get when you realize these pieces move in the same pattern as a knight in chess. Figure that shit out, Beth. The challenge is in the mental work, not the actual gameplay. There's nothing challenging about pushing blocks or stepping on switches, it's just busy work. The fun is in the mental piecing together of logic, and when you finally get that aha moment, that's the climax. You know what, man? If you're gonna fuck you, man. You piece of shit, man. Fuck you. No, fuck you, man. So you're always fucking up my shit. God. Alright? Studying Zelda led me to the system that I have in place now. Essentially, GigaSword uses the Zelda framework and just adds the Dark Souls recovery formula on top of it. The game auto-saves every time you open a chest, unlock a door, or do anything else that counts as progress in the area. The game also saves every time you die, and when you recover. And of course, you can save the game manually at these owl statue save points, which you should definitely do because these are the points at which you respawn when you die, so you're going to want to be at the nearest one at all times. All in all, I think this system works best for GigaSword given its puzzle-solving nature. But I've said enough about my game, now I want to talk about your games. If you're making a Metroidvania or Zelda-like or Souls-like, consider how you want to handle save progress and death in your game. If you've got puzzles, you probably don't want to make your players redo anything too tedious. Remember what we learned about puzzles, the fun is in the solving, not the doing. If you've got a currency system, like souls or rupees or coins, consider whether or not those things take a hit when you die. Does the player get a chance to win these things back? When and where are you going to have to autosave to ensure the player doesn't lose any progress unfairly? If you're making a traditional Metroidvania, one with a little less Zelda and a bit more Castlevania, it's perfectly valid to go the traditional route and just have basic manual save points. Hey, if it's tried and true, why change it? There are plenty of other options other than the ones I've talked about here. The method that you go with is going to depend on your core gameplay. There's no overall right answer for everyone, you just have to find what's right for you. And in that regard, I hope this video has helped. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you're interested in playing GigaSword, the free demo is still up on itch.io, so if you want to try out the game, you can run over there and grab the demo right now. I've been working on the game for about 2 years now, and it's been a ton of hard work, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but all the support from you guys and all of the wonderful comments in the last couple of weeks while the demo has been out really means the world to me, so thank you guys so much for the continued support for the game. And as always, for the continued support for this channel, it really means the world to me. Speaking of the channel, we are really close to 1,000 subscribers, so thank you guys so much for watching and for subscribing and for sharing this channel with your friends. Yeah, it's a crazy milestone, and we're really close to it now. I want to give a shout out to our awesome patrons who help make this show possible. Thank you guys so much. You guys are the best. And other than that, I think I've said my piece, so go make awesome games. I hope this video has helped, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care. And 2, GigaSword has an upgrade system. Ugh. It's perfectly valid to go the traditional. Wow. It saves so fast that if you rage quit and then open the game back up, it literally puts you in back. Oh, what the fuck? Why can't I say this? Suppose you take this puzzle from. Oh fuck! Alright, sweet. Have not done that yet. The biggest takeaway from this logic is this: the fun of a puzzle is figuring it out, not the actual gameplay. Or fuck you. There are 4 constellations on the wall in front of you, and on front of each. Oh. Fucking hell. Dumbass.